Hi, this is Steve for TrueHollywoodTalk.com. We're up in Palm Springs, kind of rainy Palm Springs. And we have a very special guest at TrueHollywoodTalk.com, Ed Begley Jr. We want to give you a warm welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Steve, thanks for having me.
You know, TrueHollywoodTalk.com is an interesting site. We talk with directors and casting people, and a lot of our audience is emerging actors. You've been on everything from CSI Miami to Veronica Mars to Boston Legal. You're a fantastic actor. I've watched you many times, so it's a great thrill for me to interview you. What advice, first of all, would you give to actors that are, during this strike? You've been through the ups and downs in Hollywood. How do you stay sane as an actor when you're not working?
Get out there and do a play, get in a scene class, study. Actors act. If you play the flute, if you're a flautist, you get there and you practice and you jam with people and go do free concerts if there's no work for a while. And that's what people need to do. They need to keep their craft honed and to continue to work. Theater is the key. I think that's the best thing any actor can do, is as much theater as possible.
Now, your father was an actor. At what point did you decide that you wanted to follow in your father's footsteps and become an actor? Or was it, if you weren't an actor, what other career would you have chosen? How'd you find this path?
My dad was an Academy Award-winning actor. He won the award when I was about 13, but it was something I wanted to do my whole life because my dad was this actor. I realized at a very young age, something like 2 or 3, I went, wow, my dad's this actor. It's something called acting, and it's something that I wanted to do, surely because of his influence. Had he been a plumber, I might have wanted to be a plumber or a house painter or sold aluminum siding, but he was an actor, and I wanted to be like my dad.
What makes a great actor? Do you think they're born or made? What made your father a great talent, and what are the differences in the way you act versus your father, and may he rest in peace?
Thank you for that. My dad was a wonderful actor. I hope one day to achieve just a portion of what he did. But he, I think he had natural talent, and that's one thing, but that's only part of it. You have to train. I felt, and I don't know if it's the case or not, I felt as a young man I might have some natural talent, and I just kept going on these interviews and trying to get work. I never got a thing, Steve. The reason is quite obvious. I hadn't trained. Imagine the son of a plumber saying, hey, Dad, I want to ride in the truck with you today and do some plumbing. I hear it's pretty easy. What, do you put the pipes together like that? Is there any difference between the copper and the steel pipe? We'll do it. I'll figure it out in the truck. You don't do that. You train, you apprentice. You go and you just watch for a while. You don't put your hand on a tool. You just watch your father, or your uncle, or whoever your boss is, the real plumber, work. And then you join in yourself and you start to learn things. And finally, when I started to train as an actor, by no small coincidence, that's when I started to work.
We seem to have a different world today where there are celebrities, then there's actors. It seems like you're saying it's a craft. You've got to work hard to achieve a certain notoriety in acting. While today everybody wants to dress up and play an actor, but they don't want to do the hard work of, like you said, studying and honing their craft. The other question I really have for you, when was that eureka moment when you decided, not I just want to be an actor, but I want to give back to something, society, and you became an activist for the environment? What was the one thing that you said, I've got to help the planet and think of somebody bigger than myself?
It was a cumulative thing, Steve. It was an epiphany I had in 1970. It occurred around the first Earth Day in 1970. It had been building for a while because I lived in horrible, smoggy LA for so many years. And one day in 1970, I went, enough already. I don't want to be part of this anymore. I know I'll still be a small part, but I want to do everything I can. So I put my head on my pillow at night and I go, hey, I did everything I could today to make less smog, to live a cleaner lifestyle. So I started composting, I started recycling, I bought a little electric car, I changed my diet, and it felt good. It felt like I was doing something right. And I hasten to add, it was all very cheap. Everything I did in a very modest budget because I didn't have any money in 1970. I didn't have much of an acting career back then. So I did it on just, a few $100s.
Imagine a few $100s. Boy, the world has changed. Okay. How do we get this green movement to go global? Because when we talk about like carbon emissions, China are also polluting with coal. How do you get everybody in the same room? Because this is one planet, so if you pollute in one part of the world, we find it goes someplace else. So if the green movement's taken off in California, it doesn't help us if the rest of the world is not following. How do you get it global?
I think we can export good American technology to places like Beijing, to Mexico City right here in this continent. We can export it to Bangkok. They have dirty, dirty air there, as I'm sure you've heard, really horrible, choking smog like we used to have, and we figured out how to clean it up. Most people don't know this. Though the air is still smoggy, we have 4 times the amount of cars in LA since 1970, yet we have half the smog. 4 times the cars, half the smog. We're doing something right. It's cleaner in every city because of rules we put in place in California. And here's the interesting thing, Steve. People said we're going to break the California economy if we did it. They said you can't have these smog control devices on vehicles. You can't do these stationary source reductions on power plants. It's going to break the economy. Nobody will be able to afford electricity. Nobody will be able to afford cars. Detroit will go broke. It'll be horrible. Didn't happen. Catalytic converters became the model not just for the the whole state, but the nation, and now they should be the model for the world, so that people can have cleaner air in Beijing and these other cities. So that's what we need to do: export the clean technology, so they can leapfrog over the old Victorian technology of big steam engines and coal to build the Brooklyn Bridge the way we built it with high sulfur coal. They want to do that now. They want to build the Empire State Building kind of buildings the way we did it with high sulfur coal. Don't do that. We need to show them, and not only just because it's the right thing to do, we want you to do it because it's going to be cheaper to have the scrubbers and the bag houses, the precipitators on your coal plants, and do it that way, to find other ways, to really invest in solar and wind, have the cleanest technologies. We're going to show you the way. We're going to sell you some good American technology, and you won't have to have smoggy cities the way we did for as long.
We're going to shift from the green moment to your career for a moment, and you're very fascinating because you're trying to give something back. And when you're looking at scripts now, the film is a unique medium of uniting people. Is there a way that you could do film projects that would also get the same message out about the environment?
Samuel Goldwyn from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer was a very smart man. He said, if you want to send a message, go to Western Union. Well, nowadays it would be email, or, Google. But what he meant was, you can do a message. If you're going to do a movie that's a documentary, like Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, that's a wonderful message, and that's a movie. But to do it in an entertainment movie, if you turn to the camera, we have to save the world, damn it. And, it's boring and it's horrible. You got to weave that message in. If Robert Towne had decided, I want to write this movie about the water, problem in Chinatown, it's going to be all about the water, how they stole the water, you go, okay, that's a nice movie, Robert, thanks. But he did a movie that was about more important things dramatically, about a murder and how if you were rich, you could get away with murder. Then he wove the water issues into that. I think you need to do that. If you want to get a message into a movie, a traditional, comedy or a drama movie, you need to be very, very careful with it and weave it into that fabric carefully so that people are entertained. They go, hey, by the way, let me think about that. Maybe there were some shenanigans with water in LA.
What do you think of this whole new world? YouTube and Google and email. You're a terrific character actor, but you've been through the industry when there's a different ilk, a different mentality. So you've seen it from the studio system to this kind of free market system where it's kind of all over the place, everywhere from TMZ to people putting up their own videos. How do you see this evolving, and do you yourself, are you a fan? There's, what is that site with Will Ferrell, funnyordie.com. It seems like it's so big that there's a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of crap, quite frankly. So what do you think of this whole industry and where it's going?
I think for now you certainly got to take the good with the bad and expect good things to continue, because there's much good that comes with it. The freedom to go on the internet and go War of 1812, cast iron cannons, whatever you want to do. You want to do, global climate change and, power plants. You can look up anything and get a tremendous amount of material. And then you can, as an educated person, you go, now, wait a minute, who is this that's actually saying this? This is a peer-reviewed study. This is Science Magazine or Nature Magazine. This is some wacko site on either side that's saying some stuff that's hyperbole. But you can sift through all that. And as an educated person, you can get tremendous amounts of data. The internet, I think, is a wonderful thing. It's wonderful. We're going to have some other stuff that has come with it, of course. And you got to, I think, sift through that and separate the wheat from the chaff. But I'm very happy with